Rule, one of the things that you can definitely see, at least in those first two sequences, is just the scope. I mean, in one case, you were out in the jungle, and in the other case, you were on one of our sets. How did you approach the particular look of what it is that we had, and particularly when we started to talk about set design, you had a vision that I think really helped sell the story in terms of the grandeur of the palace, and obviously that's just one room. There's a whole city that you guys cannot believe what it looks like.
Yeah, no, you are looking at all the movies that are out there and seeing what works on IMAX and what doesn't work on IMAX. And then you need to also realize that we're making television. So it was a kind of a mix between, okay, we need to design sets that have skill also in height, and where we can move the camera forward instead of sidewards. So you see a lot of movements of the camera, also something that I really like. I like scope, I like move the camera, but we're moving the camera in a different way than we normally see on television to kind of give you the feeling of going into this world, revealing the things that are cool to see. And I think we did a wonderful job, and the art department did a wonderful job building these massive sets that are hugely high and that are like 360 degrees visible in all sizes. So I could really be low angle with the actors to show the scope of this whole thing. It was a blast.
Emmy, this was like a new thing. Like I remember when you came in, you got all excited. Like,
yeah.
Tell me what it was like to find out that you were going to play Gorgon, and that you were going to be wearing these hooves, and this personality, which in so many ways is you. I mean, I think everybody here sort of the kind of lovable and yet sometimes very angry and dangerous person that you can be. Tell us about that.
It was kind of cool because playing Gorgon, it actually kind of had a way of expressing myself and actually discovering stuff about myself as well. Like during filming, I would kind of just go around town and I realized, like, I'm doing very Gorgonic things. And I'd be like, it was such a great discovery, and this guy's a lot of fun. I mean, you know, having the opportunity to consistently just act off of impulse is very exhilarating. Everyone should try it. So, you know, discovering more about him, and especially the fact of the size and the scope, and it made me realize a lot that I have no idea my own strength.
Oh my gosh, you guys, he hurts people.
I really do.
And, like, if you ever hug this man, it is one of the most painful if you see anytime I have to hug him, my hand goes out first to like buffer him coming at me, like on screen as well. He
just hugged me backstage and got welts on me.
We're not joking. Like, he is the most aggressive hugger you will ever meet. If you like aggressive hugs, hug him.
I like how Emmy said he took on being, what was your described word?
Very Gorgonic.
Yeah, because he really did. So when we first met, I said to him, I dare you to chest press me. And he was like, all right. So the last night on set, I laid like really straight like a board, and Emmy chest pressed me, and I'm thinking like maybe like 8 or 10 times. It's like we're up to 34, and I'm just getting chest pressed by Emmy. It was amazing.
Yeah, and it's not that I stopped. I actually just was realizing, I'm like, I could do this all day.
Forever.
There's a video.
I
think I was at like 45, and we're like, we have to go. We have stuff to do.
We've wrapped.
Like on set, but that video might come up one day. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah,
definitely a timer.
Very humble too.
What's even weirder is walking in a trailer and seeing Mike Moe as Triton with an iPhone, and then these people on the ground. I was like, what did I just walk into?
So if Emma and Gorgon are completely acting on impulse, sort of the yin and the yang, or in many ways the relationship of mice and men. When you got the role of Karnak, and we explained to you that, you know, not in addition to being advisor to the king and someone who can sort of see the world, both half empty and half full simultaneously, that you had to look after this guy. Tell us what it was like playing Karnak.
It was daunting. I mean, the character is so formidable, physically, intellectually, and spiritually, that I'm constantly challenged by being in the position to play him. So I've never felt that before, where I'm kind of constantly catching him, trying to catch him, and it stretches me, you know, in ways that I'm not used to. So with Emmy, it's great. I think with us, we started just a very casual debate over what is your favorite superpower very early on.
I won.
I think it's still ongoing, and my position was that, you know, I not only do I want to fly, I think really everyone does, no matter what their answer is, and that started like this thing.
Yeah, but the fact is, super
Here
strength.
we go.
We've heard
You
this
can get
all
an
day.
object,
All
put it
day, you
under your
guys.
feet,
All day.
and thrust yourself into the air, which makes you fly.
Right, right.
And also, if you do fly, and you land on the ground, you're not strong enough for a proper landing, and you could die.
If you're a terrible
Flying could only be a
flyer.
5-minute
Well, you
skill.
have to be a
Okay,
good
okay,
flyer.
wait.
Superpower. I'm
Hold
just
on.
saying.
Just in response to how we're different.
No.
But I mean, how do you fly holding on to something?
My
I think the
reasoning-
only way that we're going to be able to settle this is by showing you guys exactly what it looks like when Gorgon fights and when
Oh, cool.
Karnak fights. In a scene
I was about to say
that happens later in the show when, let's just say, Maximus has made his move. You guys have never seen it with all the stuff that was in there, like, because all that was going on, and Ken had to do the scene. Like, well, Scott, tell us about like the whole idea behind Karnak's ability to be able to read things in different ways.
It's just the idea that Karnak can see the fault in anything, whether it's a person, an idea, a plan, a wall, whatever it is. And as much as how great that sounds, it sort of leads to a life where it feels like the glass is not only half empty all the time, but the glass is actually shattered and on the ground. So because of that, Karnak has a very, very narrow vision of the way he sees life. But it also creates this point of view where just immediately he understands everything around him and how to deal with that situation. And so the challenge was to try to create that in a very visual way that the audience could also see. And it's through our very talented VFX people that we were able to come up with that sort of a design.
I want to give a big shout out to 5-time Emmy winner who does the score for us on a little show called Marvel's Jessica Jones. Sean Callery does the score for Marvel's Inhumans. And it is a full 70-piece orchestra. It lives in the big world of IMAX and ABC that we knew we were going to have this happen. And Sean's just killing it. He's just doing a beautiful job. I guess there's been some discussion about the wig, and you know what, guys? This is kind of what it looks like. Just to let you know, part of the reason why we can't show you all of this incredible process is in the first 2 hours alone, there are 600 special effects shots, which 4 different teams are working on throughout the world, and not the least of which is a 2,000-pound bulldog named Lockjaw, who will teleport in and teleport out of your life and make you feel incredibly grand. Ewan, we talked about it a little bit before about how we don't really see Maximus as the villain, but I mean, I think a lot of people know you from that other television show, particularly people down here. You had a lot of concerns, you bastard. So how did you come to terms with that? And when you came on board, tell us about Maximus.
Yeah, well, again, it was, my fear was that because of I looked into who this Maximus guy was, and it was like, oh, it looks like I'm doing the same thing again. I don't really, it's that fear of being typecast, and that you just end up just repeating myself and playing. But then, as we discussed it more and more, I realized that wasn't at all what we were trying to create in this show, and your enthusiasm and vision really kind of inspired me actually to kind of think, well, I think we can make something really interesting from this character and tell this story from a different perspective of this young man who, he went through his pterogenesis and he became nothing. And, in this society, which is all about what power you have, to be where he is, he's the lowest of the low. And he's kind of out. And the only reason he's really not working down the mines is because he's the brother of the king. And even though he believes he would make a much better king because he can talk to the people, he's a man of the people. And he had, it's this, and you see there in that clip that there was some friendship in his past with Medusa, which he feels that he kind of lost, and he's become sort of ignored really by everyone. So that kind of motivates his kind of want to further himself as well as saving the people that he feels so sorry for. So yeah, in a way, he is a revolutionary and a forward thinker, and he thinks that he can genuinely change the world for the better for the people. Yeah, I think that's probably kind of where we find him in this series. But then, and he's ruthless. If he believes that in order to make this happen, these are the things that he has to do, and he doesn't like it. He loves his family. They're the only family he has, and it's a lonely world. But his sort of belief in what he's doing, and that he thinks it's right. And when you hear what he's saying, it is right. And he's just trying to stop suffering. So yeah, and then the cost of the decisions that he makes really starts to corrupt him. It's a very Shakespearean sort of story, like a sort of quite Macbeth type vibe. So that's why I really wanted to do it. Did that make any sense? I don't know.
Yes. And Surinder, you really get caught sort of in the middle of all this. I mean, you are literally the woman between the two brothers, not just sitting up here, but And I think one of the things that we talked about from the very beginning is how important it is that Medusa isn't just an extension of Bolt, and how did you bring that to the character?
Well, one, it was already on the page. I think that's what Marvel does so well, is that there's such strong female characters, and so as soon as you're going to be a part of Marvel, you're taken care of. So that was incredible right off the bat. And there was just an insistence as we were going through it, was even in the dialogue, but also in the whole plot points, was that she wasn't just going to be this interpreter. And as I said before, you see those moments where she challenges him, where she changes his words a little, where she's not willing to just stand behind him. And so that was from the beginning. I mean, even from the audition, it was very apparent. We have no idea what we're auditioning for at all in any capacity. With imaginary sides that disappear in 24 hours. It's very ominous and very scary when you're walking in. And so we were in the audition process, and at the end, I was going in for, I think it was Margie. And couldn't be farther from who she is. And I'm going in for Margie, and at the end, Jeff is in the room, and he goes, I want you to just finish it by saying, but remember, I am your queen. And I got all these goosebumps, and I was like, I don't know who she is, but I love Margie. She's amazing. Where does she come from? And that was sort of the insistence from day one, from being in the room. It was just this presence that she had to have. And that started from the audition, and then it just continued with every script that I saw. So that was amazing to come into.
Click left for Marvel's Inhumans panel Part 1, or for Part 2, click over to the right.